Oh, silly yaoi writers. Gay men don't act like that. Oh, a funny thing, pornography. Sometimes you just need something quick to get your proverbial engines running for a quick bout of relief. Other times you want a nice, high quality meal to sink your teeth into, building up to a delicious petit mot. Then there are the times you feel like a right masochist and want to really work for your happy ending $5. Think about that last part for a second. In a time where things like visual novels and fan service shots in games and anime are third nature, why would you want to find yourself wanting to work for a little more? It's almost as if, despite a good cum shot being a few clicks away, some of us don't feel satisfied unless we work through a confound series of puzzles for it. Now, imagine that work coming in the form of a color-matching puzzle game, with the main reward being a night with one of 8 lovely ladies, each with their own personalities, quirks, and even baggage for you to sift through. Ladies and gentlemen, and all matters in between and beyond, I'm the Literary Wolf, and you may have found yourself wondering, should I play HuniePop? Long story short, maybe, kind of, yeah, yes. Short story long, HuniePop is a different take on your typical erotic visual novel / dating sim. Developed by the HuniePop development team, nudge nudge, wink wink, the game is an unapologetic romp that tramples all over your typical dating sim tropes with certain ties to the aforementioned visual novel genre. There are character stats to look into, traits to level up and explore, items to buy, items to use, and in-dialogue elements to keep track of and use throughout the rest of the game. And, of course, there's the matter of the other half of the game basically being Candy Crush Faku Edition. Okay, well, maybe not Faku because that website kinda sucks nowadays. How about Candy Crush E-Hentai Galleries Edition? Yes, for all of my talking, the main goal of HuniePop is to get to know, develop a relationship with, and eventually do the horizontal tango with one of 8 characters. The way that this is done is via the Date Grid, the match 3 puzzle game that pops up whenever you go on a date in this game. It's your typical match 3 fare, save for a few differences. In HuniePop, each of the characters has certain traits that they like and dislike. These traits are talent, flirtation, romance, and sexuality, and they're represented by colored tokens on the date grid. Matches that correspond with a trait that a character likes result in higher affection points, while regular matches get a base amount, and matches that focus on traits disliked by a character barely get any affection points whatsoever. The goal of the dates is to match enough affection points to the decided affection meter before running out of moves, resulting in a better relationship with the character and in-game currency to use for gifts and other things. You can also influence the amount of affection points you get by matching passion tokens and raising the passion level of your date.
The gold bells are joy tokens. You'll get an extra move by matching those. Very useful. The broken heart tokens are bad news. Seriously, avoid matching those as best you can.
However, watch out for these little purple bastards over here. There is nothing more painful than the sound of broken heart tokens being accidentally matched up and taking off a huge chunk of the affection meter you worked so hard to build up. Well, that just kills your boner now, doesn't it? To add to the system that helps to differentiate HuniePop from a lot of other Match 3 systems, there is a very dense item system. At the end of every date, whether you're successful or not, you get money, one of this game's 2 currencies. You can use money to buy all sorts of things, ranging from food, character-specific items, and gifts. Certain items you buy and give to other characters will result in Q's employers sending you date gifts, which are items to use during your, well, dates. However, it's fairly randomized, so there's no way of breaking the system to get all of the best items first. And a bit of a mar against the system, you have a limited inventory. And, spoiler alert, there are key items that you earn later in the game that share the same inventory. So, you will, more than likely, be tossing out date gifts that just don't seem useful, just to regret it down the line when a date where that gift would be useful comes along, just for you to not have that gift anymore. And trust me, even for being a basic match 3 engine, these dates can get fucking hard as time goes on, pun not intended. So, you will need to mess around and find the date gifts that work best for your playstyle. But, there is another means of tailoring the game to your needs. You'll remember earlier that I mentioned that this game has 2 currency systems. Well, the second of the 2 is called Honey. Get it? Money? Honey? Isn't this game funny? Slag off, they can't all be winners. Honey is used to increase your own traits, the ones mentioned before as well as 4 alternative ones: passion, sensitivity, luck, and charisma. Increasing the base traits influences how much matches of those corresponding tokens will be worth during your dates, while increasing passion increases how high you can raise the passion level of your date. Increasing sensitivity decreases the harsh effects of broken heart matches. Luck increases your chances of creating power tokens, which sometimes get created when you match 4 or more tokens on the grid. And charisma does... I have no idea and I can't be half-assed to look it up. You earn honey by talking to characters and getting to know them outside of your dates. You do this by giving them certain gifts that match up to what they like, by asking them questions about themselves and their lives, by answering questions to their specifications, and by answering questions pertaining to earlier conversations correctly. But please, for the love of God, make sure you keep track of the questions that you ask these girls. The sensation of awkwardness that fills you when they call you out on asking them questions that they've already answered is almost as painful as your friend tricking you into unironically watching Oremo.
Hey, what the fuck did you just have me watch? I know for a goddamn fact you did not have me just watch an anime with a climax of some dude proposing to his little sister. What the hell is wrong with you? No, it wasn't romantic! You and this story are everything that's wrong with anime, you fucking son of...
Also, certain items are used for hidden elements in the game, so be sure to play around with them. Well, we've talked about gameplay, let's talk about story. First and foremost, when you start up HuniePop, you get the options of playing as either a boy or a girl. So, already this game could be called more progressive than a lot of dating sims out there. You know, if you gave a filleting fuck about that sort of thing, I just usually end up playing as a boy anyway. No matter which you choose though, the story starts out the same. You find yourself plastered like wallpaper in a bar one evening, when a smoking hot queen of tarts comes up to you. Emphasis on the tart, do you see that outfit? You two shoot the shit for a while, you having the option of giving some cringe-worthy responses to this floozy's questions, until you find out that her name is Q. After a moment, she starts going off about how perfect something is before rushing off and promising to meet you later. So, naturally, you head home before you lose your dinner all over the bar floor and hit the hay. Before you can choke on your own vomit in your sleep, though, you're awoken by a presence in your room who turns out to be this... walking hentai trope. Who turns out to be Q, revealing her true identity as a love fairy.
You may find yourself asking, what the hell is a love fairy? Actually, you're probably wondering why a game centered around fat material is trying so hard, but you might also be wondering about the prior.
Q explains that it's her job to help miserable, pathetic slobs like you, the player, become good with women and get laid. And after not giving you much choice in the matter, she whisks you off onto a date to show you the ways of the land before plopping you back home and giving you your main user interface for the game. the Honeybee 2.0, aka the Where All the Witches app. However, it does more than that. Basically, it's where you keep the information of the girls you meet, how you buy items, how you improve stats, etc., etc. She then gives you an option of where to start meeting girls, and you're off to bang 'em all. Trademark. Patent pending. So yeah, despite it seeming shallow, there's actually a good enough chunk of stuff to keep you playing besides the promise of spank material. However, a story is only as good as the players presenting it. So... Kyu is the first character you meet, and she is hell in pink panties. A nymphomaniac by definition, besides getting you laid, sex is her main focus. She'll even provide her own kinky feedback on certain girls when you first meet them.
I love me some chocolate. I'll have a tall glass of whatever she's serving. Know what I'm saying? Dude, bro, Asian chicks? Don't even get me started. I have like the worst case of yellow fever ever. Like a yellow plague.
Basically, with Kyu, you get a look into the mindset that went into making this game. But even as crass as she is, you get that she's just doing her job. Kind of like the game and the development team themselves. Next, we can go into the girls that you can actually meet. You can meet them in any order, but I'll reflect on my own order of most memorable to who the fuck are you again? There's Tiffany May, the typical girl next door who is trying to get through college and make something of herself. Earnest and sweet to a fault, she's the girl to go for if you want a simple, down-to-earth time. Kiana Del Rio, the single baby mama with dreams of becoming a celebrity. Quite the flirt and obvious fitness nut, Kiana's assertiveness is a definite fan favorite. Nikki Ann Marie is worst girl. Moving on. Aiko Yumi has a steady, honorary spot on the big wall of problematic faves, if you catch my drift. In all seriousness, though, she's the deviant in a prim and proper form, who brings full return to the phrase hot for teacher. Lola!
Let's get ready to rumble!
Rembright! Personally, I thought that Lola would end up being my waifu out of the entire cast when the initial trailer for the game came my way. However, even though her design is exceptionally pleasing on the eyes and her carpe diem attitude fills up the room, my attentions were eventually pulled elsewhere. Jessie May, the porn star cougar with a heart of gold and a lady boner for anything Christmas related. Also, Jessie May, Tiffany May. They're related. Mother and daughter. Might want to get the May family threesome going on if you catch my drift. I think you do, it's not really that subtle. There's Audrey Belrose, the game's resident mega bitch with a love of recreational drugs and a harsh vocabulary.
What the fuck? Of course you screwed it up! Again?
That's exactly what you asked for! Are you joking?
Bitch, do I look like I'm joking?
She's not worst girl, but she's still pretty shit tier. That's just my opinion, though. And then, there's Belly LaPron. Belly LaPron is best girl. She is A1 waifu material with her kind demeanor, her flexibility, her very aesthetically pleasant design. Ah, Belly, why are you so perfect? Depending on what your kink is, you can start off in whichever order you like. After you get a good relationship going with each of the girls, maxing out this convenient little heart meter, you can finally take them out on an evening date. You know, as long as they're actually in town. Do you know how long it took me to finish Belly's route because this girl would not stay put? My waifu, why hast thou forsaken me? Depending on how this evening date goes, if you fail, you'll have to wait for another day-night cycle to pass before you can do it again, or your lovely lady of the night will end up inviting herself to your place for the night. And then, sex happens. Oh boy, does sex happen. The sex grid, yes, the match 3 formula continues even into the sex portion of the game, is a small stray away from the regular formula. As there are no heartbreak tokens, you cannot lose. However, it's more of an endurance test, stacking up consecutive combos in order to bring your coital partner to the highest peak of pleasure. Think some skeevy doujinshi version of HuniePop. Oh, I should probably mention that as the sex goes on, your friends with benefits will lose their bra, and after the deed is said and done, you'll not only get a nice sexy picture to remember her by, but they'll leave behind their panties. Remember what I said earlier about the inventory issue? Yeah, if you go for all 8 girls, that's 8 less slots for you to do anything with in your already cramped inventory. However, there is the matter of the extra goodies that HuniePop has in store. So, after your first successful conquest, Q will let herself into your room, because she's obviously a psychopath who has mastered the art of breaking and entering, to congratulate you. She then talks about how she doesn't think it's fair for the other girls to have you to themselves, so she officially puts herself on the market as a dateable character. Next, if you can manage to get all the way with the initial 8 girls, Q will stop by again. However, she'll bring company this time in the form of her boss, Theatena Venus, goddess of love and the final challenge of the game. I suppose I should mention how Q and Venus's conversations are a bit higher in difficulty as they rely on you remembering all those details about the other 8 girls you've dated so far. Yeah, but you'll figure it out. Throughout the game, upon buying items to further your goals, you will probably end up noticing a bag of goldfish in the store. If you buy said goldfish, go to any outdoors location during the day, and then toss the goldfish away, you'll meet a cat girl by the name of Momo.
You know, I already think that cat girls are shit tier. Really, cowgirls is where it's at. But if Momo had been my first excursion into seeing what a cat girl is...
I have these furry ears too. I'm Momo. I'm the kitty. But, well, I don't have a master.
Finally, in the longest runabout in the game, throughout your pervy adventures, you will notice a porn magazine in your inventory. If you give it to Q, she'll express her thanks by telling you her plans with it, as well as giving you a weird device. That's literally what the game decided to call it. You have to take the device to the beach at night, and only at night. Then you have to try to leave. If you do this right, you will be face to face with the blue extraterrestrial space vixen known as Celeste Lovendass. In addition to extra characters, there are cosmetic tics worth discussing. Giving the characters gifts won't only result in honey, but they randomly unlock a different outfit or hairstyle for a character as well. Though the outfits can be unlocked via your dates, some of them are unlocked by these means. And last but not least, if you can manage to get it up for all 12 girls and finish all of their routes, Q will come and offer you the chance to try Alpha Mode, a harder version of the game in general. Remember all the pairs of panties that you were left with after sex happened? This is where they come in. Me, personally, I've never done it. Partially because I don't sense the appeal of the game on a harder difficulty, but majorly because I worked hard for those panties, Q! Fuck you! But, most importantly, how is the fandom? Actually, pretty damn good! I think the saving grace with HuniePop when it comes to fandom is that, outside of a few inquisitive young minds coming into the game after watching the likes of Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, most of the social justice wanking crowd strayed away from the game in favor of bitching about out-of-context pictures, since the developers do support Gamergate. At the end of the day, if raunchy humor and visual novels aren't your thing, this probably isn't the sort of game for you. For me, I had fun. The art design is nice, the music fits the settings, and there's plenty of inferred canon to be found if you read between the lines, such as Aiko having chronic depression or Jessie May being a functioning alcoholic due to her past. All in all, HuniePop is a definite have-to-play at least 30 minutes of experience in my humble book.
Now, the HuniePop team is actually about to release a new game called HunieCam Studio, and it is nothing like HuniePop, like, at all. Aside from the girls from the first game coming back along with a few new ones, the art style is different, the gameplay is different, the entire game is different. And I can't wait! Until next time, you lovely, lovely bastards.